Let's get some more analysis on all of this with Xiaolin Chen, Head of International at KraneShares. Welcome back to the programme. Good to have you with us today. So what do you make of these targeted measures that China is planning to support its companies and its workers announced during this Politburo meeting?
Thank you, Paul, for having me on your show. These measures has been long planned, shall we say. That's the least statement we should expect from Chinese policymaker. Also, they are very carefully deployed and well expected by the market. The reason I say that is the recent statement also released, but if you see all the actions go back to even middle of last year, the Chinese government has been planning long time to say we got to prepare for the uncertainty we may face potentially, or the challenge we may face externally. Therefore, they have had a lot of policy ready to, implement when the time is right. All the policy they announced from September all the way till now is nearly half a year. All the policy was carefully managed. When the time was right, they deployed one after another. Earlier this year, they had the MPC. Then they, promised to support the economy with 2 trillion consumption stimulus package, so on and so forth. Market is expecting the governments do more on the supportive policy, but I think they are doing the right way with their own pace of given how the data, how the economy is doing. It's ready to wait in the right timing to deploy them. But so far, the policy they announced are actually reflect this time round. China is very prepared with the external uncertainties and then implementing the policy accordingly.
And with this goal of achieving around 5% growth this year, how can China balance this target with these increasing trade tensions with the United States?
It's a great question, Paul. At the end of the day, if you look at the data, U.S. trade with China is 2.3% of China's GDP, only 2.3%. A lot of people thought that would be a lot higher than that. If you look at the data in 2024, U.S. trade to China's percentage of GDP was only 2.3%. Not saying they are not important, because China is U.S. largest trading partner, but China is the largest trading partner to many nations today. That is the effort that the Chinese policymaker has been implementing over the last 2 decades. If you look at China's exports partners over the last 2 decades, China has been actively diversified away from developed market. Over the last 2 decades, export to the developed market dropped by 17%. At the same period, to ASEAN, to frontier, to emerging market, to Asia neighbors has gone up the same proportion. So I just say, China has a long goals to rebalance its economy to consumption driven. This time round may just, let them to rebalance faster.
And do you think that the Politburo plan to increase income for middle and lower income groups could boost consumer spending?
I think the goal to make China more urbanized, i.e. has more people living in the cities and also increase the middle class number was a long-term goal from this generation or this leadership, and also the past leadership has always been the case. Today, China's urbanization rate is around 65%, depends on which months, years you look at them, but still at a very decent rates over the last couple of decades. Still, they have a plenty room to continue to grow. In that instance, the government has to help, middle income, even the lower income, because the lower income people or household are the target people that this leadership is aimed to help them to achieve to middle class level. By in a couple of 10 years time, China is expecting their middle class to reach nearly 400 million. So in that instance, China has a lot of job to do with the without trade tension. Like I said, all these tensions now happening will eventually play out with a constructive deal on both sides. It has to. It's a matter of time. But all these uncertainties and challenges that the Chinese government face today will only help them to be more determined to accelerate to achieve their overall long-term goal faster and quicker.
Always good to get your input. Thank you so much to Xiaolin Chen, Head of International at KraneShares.